Well, and talking about democracies, Prabowo Subianto, a retired army general, takes over as the president of Indonesia. The country is the largest democracy in Southeast Asia and is also the ASEAN's largest economy. And he hopes to boost growth, and he also brings to the top office his experience as the country's defense minister under the outgoing president, Widodo. Subianto has pledged to continue the foreign policy of non-alignment, promising to maintain good ties with world powers without choosing sides.
Indonesia will inaugurate its 8th president, Prabowo Subianto, on 20th of October, following a sweeping election victory in February, in which he secured the presidency after multiple failed runs in past elections. The recently decorated honorary 4-star general rose to the top job in Indonesia despite past allegations of human rights abuses during his time in the military, which he has denied. His popularity soared with younger voters, especially on social media like TikTok, and especially after he picked outgoing President Joko Widodo's son as his running mate. Subianto had billed himself to voters and investors alike as the continuity candidate and has repeated pledges to use as a guide Joko Widodo's economic policies, which have modernized the infrastructure, cut red tape, and delivered growth and prosperity in the trillion-dollar G20 economy. Since his victory, Subianto has paid courtesy visits to multiple state leaders including Russia, Japan, China, and Malaysia, and showcased his plans for a bolder foreign policy than under his predecessor. Joko Widodo prioritized Southeast Asia's biggest economy over foreign policy over the past decade, not once attending the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. But Subianto, who speaks German, French, Dutch, and English, has visited more than a dozen countries since his election win on 14th of February, pledging stronger relations with all. He said in a campaign speech last year that Indonesia's defense outlook will be based on a web of strong friendships and that this web will be the strongest pillar of foreign and defense policies.
Equidistance and friendship with all the great powers.
Subianto's destinations in the 8th-month transition period have painted a picture of his bid to deepen alliances while sticking to Indonesia's traditional non-aligned path, despite Western moves to get Jakarta's support on global issues from Gaza to Ukraine. He made China his first stop after his presidential vote, before trying to boost trade and defense ties on visits to Turkey and Russia, with whom a jet deal remains on the table despite Western sanctions. Subianto, who is defense minister in Widodo's government, then signed a key security deal with Australia and headed to France to discuss military cooperation. U.S. Canavas, a research fellow from Atma Jaya University, says that Subianto's key foreign policy objective will be to restore Indonesia's role in the global arena, in contrast to Joko Widodo, who did not really care about foreign policy. Subianto held talks with Russia over a trade pact with the Eurasian bloc it leads, seen as a counter to the European Union, which he said on the campaign trail Jakarta doesn't really need anymore. Friction has grown between Jakarta and Brussels over plans for a deforestation-related ban on products such as palm oil, of which Indonesia is a top exporter. He also embarked on a West Asia tour to lobby Gulf powers for stronger economic ties. US Canavas says that by being more visible, Subianto feels Indonesia can attract more foreign investments and cooperation. The most sensitive relations will be the diplomatic tightrope Jakarta has to walk between regional competitors Beijing and Washington, D.C. There is concern in Jakarta over Beijing's actions in the South China Sea, where its boats have clashed with the Indonesian Navy. The agreement Indonesia signed with Australia last month saw the neighbors pledge closer cooperation to counter security threats. It pointed to Subianto preparing Indonesia to be more assertive in its defense of contested areas of the South China Sea, while counterbalancing Beijing's expanding economic influence. But observers say that he cannot deviate too much from the path set by Joko Widodo during the early stages of his presidency. Widodo is still widely popular at home, and his support is crucial for Subianto before and after his inauguration.